Hey, Myles.
Hey, Brian.
Say it ain't so. My
Say what?
love is a life taker.
What?
No, nothing.
No.
Okay. Wonder is delayed, man. Say it ain't so.
Oh, it is?
I'm so glad you're prepared for today's show. This is going to be a good one, you guys. I can fucking tell already.
None of us would have guessed that, right? None of us have been saying it. So, that's pretty surprising. It wasn't as we were talking about it last week.
Literally last Friday, I was like, it ain't coming out in October. And I got on a little high horse about that too. Like, I was like, it's not happening. It's just not happening. And I was like, where the fuck did that come from? And then fast forward 1 week. It's every so often, Myles, I get one right. Not often.
Yeah.
Every so often. All right, man. Let's start the show. We got a lot to talk about. You ready to do this?
Let's do it, man.
Let's do this. This is PSVR GAMESCAST Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and 2 Eyes Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern for your viewing pleasure right here on YouTube. But we also care about your oral pleasure. So our good buddy Rod Pop puts this thing up on podcast services of your choice. Oral pleasure, Myles.
Yeah, right in there.
Yeah? Is there room?
Depends. Either hole. Depends which one. Like one or that one.
That one?
Or both.
No other options?
Well, no. I mean, I can't hear out of any other hole. Although if you open your mouth, supposedly you can hear better.
If you put your if you put your ear up to my mouth, you can hear the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm giggly, dude. This is gonna be a bad one.
That's good. I didn't know that.
And if these shows are too long for you, oh Jesus!
Brian grew up on the ocean.
Yep.
I think that's what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. If you put your ear up to my mouth, you can hear Bass in the Harbor, dude. You can even smell.
It's definitely gonna be one of these kind of shows.
And if you hate these kind of shows, well then, thanks to our good friend Rody, the GameCat Army General. We get timestamps into this thing after the fact. Although he needed tonight off, and I messaged Waleed, and I didn't hear back from Waleed, so we'll see how it goes. There might be a delay on timestamps. Waleed, check your DMs on Discord. This is how I have to communicate with people, Myles. I have to go on a live show with hundreds of people watching and go, check your DMs.
That's it. Hey, producers.
Yeah. My name is Brian Paul from the show right here without Parole, and this gentleman over here to my right, on the other side of the pond, it's Myles Dyer from youtube.com/Myles.
What up, Brian? What up, Game Cats? I'm feeling pretty good. I have been sick as a dog this past week. It actually started last Friday. I got through the show, then went to bed, and then woke up 7 minutes before our Madison GAMESCAST.
Yeah, I wasn't scared about that at all.
I know, exactly. Yeah. And that was a really cool spoilercast. I was not sure about attending it just because, as many of you keep liking to remind me, I've not played it all yet. But I have I'm very familiar with the story. It was why I always talked about it leading up to the launch of the VR game, just because of the flat screen. And in the end, I was really glad I was a part of it. Really good conversation, solid 2 hours, covered a lot of ground, a lot of different topics. And it just gave me an even deeper appreciation for the game, just hearing everyone's experiences of it. And that was a really, really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of
There's
fun
not many games that you can really do that for, you know?
No, probably not. I was just happy that it gave me an excuse to go back in and play Madison. And, I was fully expecting to be like, oh, I overrated this game. Oh, this game doesn't quite live up to, my initial impressions or my review or whatever. And I got back in there and I just felt so good about that review. It's still one of my favorite games of the year. And I think it's just so beautifully done and just in a beautiful game in general. Never mind all the scares. So I was very, very happy to kind of put that worry at ease. I very seldom have an excuse to go back and play games. I always got to kind of move on to the next one. And so I'm glad Why is Nick talking about my mouth? Miles puts his ear up to Brian's mouth. Caw, caw. Sorry, Miles. A seagull flew by.
He meant, yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Just a lot of interesting conversations happening in the chat. And if you're new here and want more conversations like this, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of all future Brian Paul shenanigans.
Yeah, and go subscribe to Miles' YouTube channel, where he's on an endless quest to play every single PSVR2 game ever made, which is, good luck. This is the second you think you're about to get caught up, 15 more games drop, and you're like, well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I am constantly losing ground. I have to say, though, I do have about 10 PSVR2 Let's Plays ready to go, and what I mean by that is I've got the thumbnail done, I've got all the description. Basically, I just need to do it. So this weekend, I am going to not overdo it, but I'm going to see if I can get a couple under my belt, maybe tomorrow. So yeah, come on over, subscribe. Would love to see you. Max Mustard will be at the top of the list, and then I've got a few others from my long list of games, like even games like Tarzan. Just like so many games from that sort of era. I say era. That's what it feels like to me. I'm that far behind. I'm like that era of PSVR2 game.
Yes. Remember 3 to 4 months ago? Oh, it was such a simpler life that we all lived.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It really does feel that way. But yeah.
So have you even started Max Mustard?
No, not. So I've stayed away from it.
Wow, that's cool, man.
Fresh, yeah. So yeah. It was actually funny enough after my Let's Play of Metal Hellsinger, the Max Mustard guys just DM'd me on Twitter and was just like, would love to hear your thoughts, and here you go. Like, I mean, I've always sort of, they're very talky online, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, they're really chatty with the community and stuff. Really good. And really nice bunch of guys. So, and they just seem really responsive to whether they were talking about the Astrobot stuff. They did a post the other day about why it's not Astrobot, and then like distinguishing themselves, which I thought was pretty smart as well.
It was interesting to see that. Like, I mean, like, you know, it's a $25-$30 game. Although I guess in all fairness, Astrobot Rescue Mission was a $40 game. You know, so comparing it to the $60, I don't know. Listen, I thought it was interesting that they did that, because it's what is Astrobot, right? I mean, or who else out there has the chops to make a game of that quality? Like, very, very few people. And so it's almost like putting yourself down a little bit just to make sure that expectations are in check. And I was like, I don't think this is even necessary. I think everybody's expectations are pretty much in check. But at the same time, it's a fantastic game. So, I mean, if you haven't played it.
I found it interesting in the sense of, like, I wouldn't say they're trying to have their cake and eat it, but like they rode on the Astrobot, like Injustice when it wasn't coming to PSVR 2. Like, they fully went into that from marketing perspective. Like, they were pinning themselves with Astrobot, like, unapologetically. They were commenting everywhere that they could. Anyone disappointed, it's like, it's a shame, but check our game out. And yet, having done all that and then done a post distinguishing themselves after the game's launched, it was done in a way that I thought totally worked. Like, it didn't feel like a cheap kind of like, yeah, we associated ourselves to get the clout and now we're distancing. It was kind of like saying, no, we're not saying we're nothing like Astrobot. We're just saying, here are the distinguishing factors. And I thought it was kind of a cool take.
You know what's funny, Miles, is that you said you're going to go in fresh, and for whatever reason, you said fresh, and my brain thought refreshing. And all I have to say is that I think Max Mustard is a breath of fresh air. I think it is very refreshing, because so frequently you go into these games and, like, there's something wrong with it. Oh, you got to deal with this weird gameplay mechanic or this design decision or whatever. And, like, you get into Max Mustard and you're like, no, this is exactly what I want it to be, right? Like, maybe nothing more, but nothing less either. You know, like, it's just refreshing to have a game that is just fun to play, and there's not like really a learning curve there. You know, just kind of like the exact opposite experience of Into the Radius, right? Which I loved Into the Radius, but like there were things to learn, you know, and there was some time to acclimate to that world. Max Mustard, it's like you've been playing these kind of games since you were a kid, and it just feels good to get in there, and I don't know, like almost nostalgic, even though the game's brand new. I like it.
I think there's been a lot of examples in recent years of games that don't do anything radically new. They just stick with a format that they work. Obviously, they give a sort of a new take on it. It's modern in terms of the technology, but they're just like, we're just going to make a solid game. Just going to make a solid game. I mean, I kind of would say that with the new Astrobot game, but there are things they do there that are technically like new and impressive and stuff. But they're just like, no. Actually, I think the thing that makes Astrobot work really, really well, and I think it's just something interesting in terms of game design, is that they keep introducing a new game mechanic and then they discard it straight away. So you pick up a game mechanic, you're like, this is really, really cool, and it's like, right, we're throwing it away, we're getting on something else. The game that does it better than any was It Takes Two.
Mm-hmm.
That game has so many gameplay mechanics, and as soon as you learn one, it's like, right, you're done, we're moving on to the next one. And so you kind of feel like they could have literally made an entire level on just that one mechanic. And the fact that they keep discarding it, I think just means that the gameplay always feels fresh, obviously. But I think it was probably really great for the team to develop. And actually, in the case of Astrobot, they literally had sort of internal boards where anyone on the team could just throw an idea and then they would try and fix it, and if they could make it work, they put it in the game. So that sort of collaborative process, which I think in the VR space where you got a lot of these indie developers, the ones that I think that thrive the best are those that sort of show what they're doing on social media, and then when the VR community are interested and give their ideas, they go, actually, yeah, we can put that in. And that sort of collaborative effort, I think, is a way that a lot of developers can thrive. Because no one has a monopoly on good ideas.
Immerse Robot is asking if your mic is a little overdriven.
Overdriven.
If you turn it down a little bit on your end, I can turn it up on my end. Maybe that'll cut any distortion that people might be hearing.
Yeah, let me have a look here. Here we go. I told you in the chat there are producers.
Hell yeah! Because I can't hear what they can hear. Right, I can't hear my voice compared to your voice and all that stuff, and so we try to listen. Ooh, sirens at my end.
I've done it to 80% from 100.
I think that is. I can even tell from my end here that it's better.
It must have slipped up at some point.
All right, we're good.
Cool,
we're good.
Thank you, Immerse Robot.
All right, Myles. Here, we got one tip in the chat that I do not want to let slide by. It is the Game Cat, Andrew Ehrenreich, with the $2 tip, says, more like Wanderer fragments of weight. Am I right? Yeah, you're kind of right. But we're going to talk a little bit about that delay in just a minute, and maybe even possibly what the term indefinitely means. I saw some people freaking out, and don't worry, indefinitely doesn't mean forever. It's a weird word. It sounds like that, doesn't it? Myles, the other day I'd asked a lot of people over on Discord to throw some viewer takeover questions into the viewer takeover channel on Discord, because we hadn't had any good ones in a while, and oh man, did they respond. We've got a ton of them. We'll be using them for the next week, probably, but I wanted to kick off with this one from Izzard. Would you mind reading it, Myles, so I can set up the poll while you're doing this?
Yeah, no worries. So, Izzard, hello Izzard, good to have you contribute. And also, if you ever want to contribute a viewer takeover question, do so. Link is in the description. His viewer takeover poll suggestion is, how much would you pay? And one of the options can be, I wouldn't pay. How much would you pay for a PSN VR subscription that gave you access to, and I thought he was going to give us a list of games, but he says, a PSN VR subscription that gave you access to the entire PSVR, PSVR2 library while subscribed. So how much would you, I guess the question, yeah, it's like, how much would you be willing to pay? Like, obviously we'd all love to pay just $5. But like, where is your...
Yeah, what do you think it's worth? What do you think having access to all of those games is, never having to buy a game ever again for VR? How much is that worth to you? And in Myles, I got to say right off the bat, and I know I come from like a kind of a privileged situation in this one area, right? In no other areas of my life, just this one area. I tend to get a lot of review keys, right? People send me the game ahead of time so I can have a review ready for launch, and I don't generally have to pay for too many games. It's maybe the best benefit of this job. Still, I do buy flat screen games still, and I can put myself in the shoes of myself who loves VR so very much, and like put myself in the shoes of somebody who wants to play everything, but doesn't do this for a living. And I still don't think I would want the option for other people, because a lot of people like the digital thing, a lot of people like the streaming thing, a lot of people like having that subscription-based model. I've never liked that. But I also didn't like digital until like this generation, or like near the end of last generation. So maybe that would change. Maybe this will change for me in the future too. Maybe I'll want everything to be subscription based, like I did 10 years ago with movies and TV shows and all of that, right? So like, I think these feelings are constantly evolving. But currently, I don't. Even with my Nintendo Switch, I just want to be able to buy Game Boy Advance games and Wii U games and whatever else on the Switch. I don't want to pay for the subscription that gives me access to them, right? I just like knowing what I own and being able to have it at any time. Internet goes out, no problem, right? So I don't want this for myself, but I'm very, very curious to hear what you have to say and what all the cats out there have to say.
And what are the options we've got on the poll?
Well, we said one option is for I wouldn't, which I just chose. Then there's $10 to $20 a month, $20 to $30 a month, and $40 a month, or 40 or more a month.
So I don't use subscription services for games, but I did used to use a rental service in the UK called Boomerang Rental, and I'm not sponsored by them, just to say. And I paid, I think it was like, I paid like one of the premium ones. I think I paid like $25. I mean, it's probably gone up now with all of inflation, but it was about $25 a month, and I could rent any 2 games at any one time, but it would come through the post. So this isn't a subscription service.
Sure.
And the reason I mention that is like when I think about the value of games, because the thing is, when you're signed to PlayStation Plus, you're not getting brand new games. I mean, you're sometimes getting brand new games on day one, but like to have the entire PSVR2 catalog, I would say it's $40 plus. Like, because also I feel there's just a bit more of a responsibility there, that a lot of these are indie developers, and you know, you'd want to support them, and that's basically like 1 or 2 games you're buying a month anyway, which we're all pretty much doing. So yeah, but I'm sort of on the fence because it's interesting. I'm either I wouldn't, or I'm 40 plus. So
86 Thermid Hatter in the chat says subscription libraries sound great, but you really have to be using them. Most people go back to their comfort games. That's interesting. My guess would have been that most people spend around $40 a month anyway on VR games, right? And so whether that means like you bought them and they're just sitting in your backlog, or you bought them and you're actively playing them. And then, of course, the comfort games are part of this as well, right? It's like maybe you discover a new comfort game with this, a game that you go back to all the time. And so I don't know. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here for something that I don't even care about. But I am definitely thinking that like $40 sounds right especially if you're a member of this audience. If you're a member of this audience and you're like, just dying for every single new game that comes out, you're watching every single review, you just can't get enough VR. Anything that comes out you're interested in simply because it's VR. $40 a month sounds great. But I think there's a lot of people out there who look at VR differently. They do look at it as the accessory that it's supposed to be, and not the way to play your PlayStation 5. Right? So I do think that for some people, VR games are just like I'll play a game every month or two. Or I'll pick it up and just maybe check out the new Beat Saber songs, or play Drunken Bar Fight with a friend. So motorcycles on my end.
Simply Mincy in the chat said something which I thought was interesting, which was VR games are probably the best place for a subscription service. It's mostly indie or small developers. It could really encourage more development if they knew money was guaranteed, which makes me think that, like, I know that this is going astray from the question that we were asked, but I do think if PlayStation did a subscription package for PSVR2 where they did rotate, like it was a way for them, to showcase, like, you pay I don't know, $15 a month, and every month it's like five VR games or something like that. Because also in VR, I do think it's one way you dip in and out of different experiences a lot more than flat screen games. And obviously, if there's one that you do want to spend tens, hundreds of hours in, then you'd probably just buy it outright anyway. And I kind of like that being an opportunity to showcase. But then I think that should maybe just fit into the PS Plus model that we keep talking about of having one VR title a month. Yeah. And we might get to that eventually.
It would be nice. I know that is it The Last Clockwinder is coming to Plus this month, or is already as part of Plus Extra, whatever it might be. Which again, a great game. Didn't get the attention it deserved at launch because we were flooded with like 40 plus launch titles, and so a game like that didn't have like a big name to it kind of got overlooked. I still haven't even finished it yet. We've always lived in the castle. Marycat in the chat says, exactly, Brian, $40 is nothing to have all of that. I only read your comment because I wanted to give We've Always Lived in the Castle Marycat a shout out. Everybody, please throw a heart into the chat because we almost lost our boy, Marycat. And luckily he sorry to call you out. Sorry to say this publicly. Too bad. You're a member of the community and I fucking love you and I care about you. And I think that anybody in the community that's going through something, we all go through it together. Just glad you made it to the hospital and had the surgery you needed. I can show some love. So what did you decide on $40 a month? Is that what the answer was here, Myles?
I think so.
Okay. I am going to, let's look at the results here. Let's look at the results real quick. End the poll. We got 103 votes and 44% of you said $10 to $20 a month. 32% of you were with me and said, I wouldn't. 16% said $20 to $30 a month, and only 6% of you said $40 a month. I totally understand all of these answers, right? I feel like Sony. I'm always so conflicted on this, Myles, because I should sign up for the next tier of PlayStation Plus. The other month, I bought 3 games that all would have been free. If I just upgraded to extra, right? If I just spent the extra $20 or $30, whatever it was, and I spent $20, $40, $60 on 3 games. It's like, well, I could have, and then who knows what other games I could have gotten free for the rest of the year, right? Logically, it makes sense to spend to go to the higher tiers, but I can't do it. I don't like the subscription model. But I do feel like if this would ever be a thing, that it should just be part of premium. If premium feels so expensive, that was like,
yeah,
you got to throw a bone to the VR cats out there. Anyway.
Agreed.
All right, I got to go back to this tab so we can see tips. Go back here so we can see each other. And oh, hey, Tornado, what's going on, buddy? Tornado, where are you going? Tornado, where are you going? Oh, Jesus. She's going to step on all sorts of buttons and ruin stuff. The Marvel Sod with the $50 tip says, regardless of my vote, I prefer physical and digital. Subscription games can suddenly disappear. I'd rather spend my money on physical and digital and supporting great channels like this one. Thank you so much. He says, stay awesome, everyone. Listen, thank you first and foremost for your generosity and your support. I appreciate it very, very much. But also, it is interesting, Myles, that, I've been working on this horror retrospective for the channel. And a lot of games that I'm looking up, like the developer names of, the release date, when did it come out on PSVR 1? You know what I mean? Like simple, normal shit. That information is no longer there because it's been delisted from the store. Right?
Damn.
And so it's like, so I hate anything that's going to make my games disappear. I'm pretty sure I can still download the Solus project because I purchased it. I'm pretty sure that like if I go on my Pro and I do that, I can download it. But like that game's no longer available. And if it was part of a subscription model, it definitely wouldn't be available. So So in the number of games that I found that are just no longer there, it's kind of baffling. I'm surprised. It's like every, I don't know, 8th or 9th one. Like there's a lot of games that are just missing from the PlayStation Store.
No, I mean, game preservation is an interesting topic, and I think it's something that I've always felt like, I guess that's important. But then when you like go into the concrete examples, it's really interesting. I was actually listening to Mystic Ryan on my lunchtime walk earlier on his Friday show, and he was talking about Little Big Planet 3. I think that's coming down like it off the store completely. I think if you own it, you have until then to buy it, but because that's Media Molecule, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or, no, it was, yeah.
Oh,
it just,
I'm sorry.
Was
you said
the
Little Big
latest.
Planet 3.
Yes, yeah, that was Media Molecule.
Crap, that wasn't Media Molecule. They did the first two.
That was it. Sorry, they did the first two, and then
Why can't I remember?
Anyway.
It was Sumo Digital, I think, did the third one. But
all right.
I'm very specific with my developers. Like, I feel like it's a constant test to see if I still have all my brain cells, and the answer is clearly I do not. But I am always trying. It's like a game to me.
Well, the first and second games, I think, did get delisted in the end. And Ryan was talking about how there's this whole community out there that have worked ways of, like, you have to jump through a lot of hoops, but you're able to, like, play all the community levels. Like, they've built this, like, metaverse of Little Big Planet stuff. And the reality is we shouldn't have to rely on those efforts to preserve games. We want things to be future-proofed. And it's why backwards compatibility is something we should always fight for. And to be honest, backwards compatibility seems to be something that's going to be possible from now on. It's just that the PS3 era, for reasons that I know at surface level in terms of like the chip that was used and stuff like that, has obviously caused lots of problems because there's a lot of PS3 games we still want to play. And it's when they do the remasters for PS4 and PS5, we're like, yeah, we can finally play it. But yeah.
Jars of Ash, The Legacy of Kane Cat says, wasn't Little Big Planet 3 Tarsier? Oh my God, please somebody look this up so we can get on with the show. Because this is the kind of stuff I'll obsess over until we figure out the answer. All right, man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about here. So I think we should probably kick it off with the headline news, and that is about the Wanderer delay. Yesterday on Twitter, the Mighty Eyes put up a tweet, and let me see if I have that available. That's not it.
I love that this was literally what we were talking about last week. Of do we think? And I was like, no, I think it's going to be all right. And you're like, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
and here we are.
I don't know what it was, man. I think it was because there were already multiple delays, and because, I mean, anybody looking at that at the lineup for the end of October, I think would be like, listen, if we need a couple extra weeks, a couple extra months, whatever it's going to be, then maybe we should take advantage of this. But here, let me bring up the Wanderer trailer, and we can have that. We can have that playing while we talk about this. All right, so they said it's not time again. We have some bad news, time travelers, and there's no way to sugarcoat this. We have to delay the game. Large sigh. One more time. We hear you again. A time travel game that couldn't ship on time. How ironic, don't you think? We know, but trust us. We did not make this decision lightly. We also know it's just another in the spate of VR game delays, and all of you just want to get stuck in some epic VR experiences. While we could go into a multitude of reasons for the delay, the truth is VR development is bloody tough, especially when people text me constantly while I'm trying to do a show. I'm just gonna mute that. Sorry. While we could go into a multitude of it's bloody tough, especially when we're determined to push the boundaries of what's possible with a VR adventure game. We are truly sorry, but we want to make sure we get this right, and we don't want to let you, our players, down. We are getting very close, though. The extra time will allow us to fine-tune and polish Wanderer, the Fragments of Fate across all platforms, continue to QA and fix bugs, as well as offer day one multi-language support. We know Wanderer is a unique VR adventure, and we want to ensure the experience is one you'll never forget. We're not going to share our release date just yet. Been there, done that. Lessons have certainly been learned. But rest assured, that news won't be far away, and this time, it's not going to budge. So we ask once again for your patience, kindness, and faith. We are hellbent on bringing you an epic time-traveling adventure, and we aren't giving up on that vision. Sincerely, the team at Mighty Eyes. Myles, what do you think of this? Is this the third delay? I think it is.
Yeah, third. I was trying to count. Like they've twice already. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, my feelings are. Mike, Virtual Reality Oasis, responded to their tweet saying, "Let them cook," and I just love that because it's kind of like that's the feeling a lot of people have about them is they've done an amazing job with the original version of this game, and the fact that they were willing to invest so much resource not into a new game but like upgrading existing one feels like a risk in a weird way. I mean, Naughty Dog might beg to differ on that when it comes to remasters and that, but it shows their commitment to it. And so for me, the fact they've said it, is it disappointing? Yeah, but I'm also like, gives them space. There's a lot of games coming out this month, not just on PSVR2. We've got is Batman out this month, isn't it, on Meta?
I think so.
Which is going to be a big one. So like, there's so much VR stuff happening, and even till towards the end of the year. I know this is probably a question you were going to ask a bit later, but I'm going to say it off the top of my head now. What the answer is? It's coming out in 2025.
Yeah,
that's what I think. I think it's going to be February. Maybe, yeah, February. I mean, it could be January, but I could imagine it comfortably sitting around the February, March time.
I mean, listen, for a game that was coming out the last day in October, there's very little wiggle room here, right? You're not going to release the last week or two of December, likely. You're probably going to, right? So that only gives you a few weeks to work with, about 5 weeks to work with, 6 weeks maybe. And so, I feel like if it was that short of a delay, they would have been like, listen, here's the new release date. We promise, we promise this is it, like final last. But I think this gives them a little more room to work with. They say, hey, you know what? Now we're beholden to no one and nothing, and there's no date. Let's make sure this thing is right. And I think that was sort of the thing all along. And this is what I said last week's episode, was that if they didn't care, the game would have been out already, and they'd just be patching bugs all of this time. For all the months that it was supposed to have been out already, they just would have been patching bugs and being like, oh yeah, sorry about this. Oh, hey, we finally got it up to 90 frames native. Oh, hey, yeah, we got blah, blah, blah. No, dude, like, I really do feel like that they want this to come out and be the best experience it can possibly be. And I don't, and it's hard to hold that against them, right? I don't, this kind of stuff does not bother me in the slightest. I am not irritated by the delay. I am looking at the end of the month, end of October, and there's some spooky games going on, right? There's some, I mean, it's not a lot of spooky games, that's for sure, right? But we definitely have a Phasmophobia release date that should be announced next week, right? So that's going to be kind of like the big scary game. And we also have 2 different Deadland games coming out. Don't ask. I'm going to try to explain it in PSVR this week, later tonight. Don't ask questions. It doesn't make any sense. It's all very confusing. Okay. This isn't a scary game. An October 31st release date for this doesn't make sense. Why release this on Halloween? Like, you're just going to get in the way and maybe not have the launch that you could. Like, launch day sales figures are just going to be abysmal because people are busy playing scary games or out, even doing things like trick-or-treating with their kids, right? They're busy. They've got stuff to do. You'd release this in January or February when nothing else is going on. And suddenly you have this amazing launch where all eyes are on you. Nothing else is coming out. No holidays are getting in the way. Just don't release it on like fucking Valentine's Day, So I think this is a smart move because as big as Wanderer is to you and me, Myles, as big as it is to the OG PSVR community, it's not a big name outside of that. Right. So there's not like this crazy love for Wanderer. They still need to create that love for Wanderer with a whole new group of people. So I think this is a smart idea. They can't risk screwing that up. Especially
part 1 of 2 games. Because this is, they're making a sequel. So like, if they don't get this right, it's going to have a knock-on effect. It's not just going to impact the sales on this one. It's then what comes next. Like, they have to do it. The line, and I kind of reacted positively to it as you read it, but I just want to read it again, which is when they were talking about the quality of life improvements and stuff they're working on. But it was the fact that they said, they want to fine-tune and polish Wanderer, the Fragments of Fate across all platforms, continue to QA and fix bugs, as well as offer day one multi-language support. That, to me, is amazing, because for me it says we want this experience to be experienced by as many people as possible. And if that means, like, I assume that means not just subtitles, that will mean maybe voiceovers or dubbing in a range of languages. I don't know what it means, but I think it just, again, they believe in this project. This is the feeling I get from it, is they believe in this project and they want people's first impression to be like, this is the best VR game I've ever played. Like, they're going, we don't want to just be like, oh, this is another great VR game. There's a lot of great VR games. They clearly are like, we knocked out the park when we first made Wanderer, so let's relaunch it in this expanded way, in like the definitive edition. Because VR is still in its early stages, I think that it gives more reason for a company to do that, which is, the VR player base has grown a lot since Wanderer first came out. So, do it more. You know what? I look at this and I think, good, for the reasons you gave, shouldn't be in October with all the other games coming out and the spooky season aspect. If it comes out early next year, I think that's a good move. So all the best to him.
Speaking of other games, Old Darth in the chat says no Quest 3, so no Arkham Shadows for me. Oh well, c'est la vie. And then Technoglitch responded by saying, buy a Quest 2. Okay, I want to point out something very important. Don't buy a Quest 2. Okay, I did not find the Quest 2 to be as powerful as it needed to be to play some of these bigger, single A games that, like Saints and Sinners 2, and I'm going to guess Batman. Quest 3 is, I think if you're going to like drop money on another headset, like Quest 3 is where it's at. I do think that the power is substantial, and the lenses are nice and the games are great. So like, that's where I'm at. Don't cheap out on the Quest if you're going to buy one. Buy a Quest 3. That said, I bought a Quest 3 and it's collecting dust, but I run a PSVR2 channel, so I think I have an out here. I think that's not everybody's situation. Okay, we got Snafu with the $10 tip saying story time. So I've had a PSVR2 since... I know, I like story time. I'm so excited.
I like story time.
I've had a PSVR2 since the summer sale, but I'm crazy and got it without being able to afford a PlayStation 5.
Wow. So do you just like plug it in and close your eyes and imagine? Like, this is good.
Sleeps with it on so he can dream in a VR headset.
This is great. I like this.
Very surreal games we got here. He says, until today, got it home 10 minutes ago. He's got his new PS5 and finally is able to plug his PSVR2 that he's had since the summer sale into it. Happy to be here at last. You guys rock. Congratulations, Snafu. Snafu,
you rock
quite a bit.
And what's the first game you're playing? I want to know.
Wonderful question.
What's the first game you're jumping into? We'll wait. Maybe Snafu's already playing. There we go. I am really curious to hear though. But look, honestly, that's amazing, and like, what a story! That is incredible. But
it's really good.
Yeah, you were smart. You got a really good deal on a PSVR 2.
Yeah, and
at the end of the day, it's pretty clear that PS5s aren't going to be coming down. So,
oh my god, so expensive. So expensive.
Yeah,
I already have like buyer's remorse for buying a Pro, and I didn't even get the 30th anniversary edition. I just bought the regular old Pro. Yo, shout out to Ben Schroeder, who gifted 5 without Parole memberships. The generosity is strong in this one. Excellent. All right, man. Let's talk a little bit about Ancient Dungeon. About Ancient Dungeon.
Oh, nice.
As you probably know, Myles, I was
looking forward to multiplayer. I love this game.
I deep love for Ancient Dungeon. I give it a 10 out of 10. It is, looking at the trailer, it may not be a game that you would consider a 10 out of 10, but this is, as far as I'm concerned, VR Spelunky. This is VR's version of Spelunky, and it does so many things right. You get in there and it's crystal clear. I'm guessing, I have a love for the art style, the voxel art style. I have a love for, this kind of roguelite, because I long before I even knew what a roguelite was, I was playing Spelunky, and I put hundreds of hours into that on Vita. Like, I just love that style of game. And this hooked me in the same way. And then on top of that, you get in there and it's like the haptics are on point. Like, you're cutting through vines, they break where you cut them. Yeah. And you feel it in the Sense controller. Like, it feels good to play. They did all the right things. I am in love with Ancient Dungeon, and that is another one. Every time I go back to it, I was like 11 out of 10. That is this review was unfair. It needed to be higher. And then I saw the tweet from the developers Yeah, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say developer anymore. Eric Thelen now has a few people working with him, and it's about altered floors. About you, that's something that's coming up in the game that when you go through, it sounds like you know you kind of, after you play the game 100 times, you get very, very used to the order of the floors that you experience. First it's this, then it's this, then it's that, right? And it's graphically different. There's different traps, there's different monsters, and so now while you're playing through, you may end up somewhere different. Now you might end up in the sewers with different enemies, and they're saying that like this could be really scary. And I started thinking to myself about all the potential that Ancient Dungeon has. And it has so much potential that I never really thought of before, Myles. I thought of Ancient Dungeon sort of as a complete experience. Oh, maybe we'll get that multiplayer support someday, I thought. But now with this altered floors thing, and then you go over to their Discord, and there's a whole channel for suggestions, and people are like, oh, right. I want swinging vines. I want this type of weapon. I want these things in the shop. I want this. And it's like, it's suggestion central over there. And I just like, my mind, like I felt like I took acid and just was like, the possibilities are endless. And so I started thinking about all the possibilities, and I was like, oh my God, like I'd never really thought of Ancient Dungeon as a game that's evolving, and that we're just at the first steps of it. But it does seem like that's kind of where it is. So I messaged Eric Thelen and said, how is this all working? Are we getting the alternate floors before the multiplayer? How's that working? And he said, no, you're going to get the multiplayer first. And then, because how it's all structured, he said we'll get the multiplayer in first, and then the altered levels will come very soon after that. But I just started brainstorming, man, and started thinking about all the possibilities for this game. You know, this $20 game that I spent 50 hours with before I finally was like comfortable to review it. And I was just kind of like, you know, I was just wondering, like, am I crazy? Am I crazy for like getting this excited for the future possibilities of Ancient Dungeon? Or like, is this a feeling that like you guys out there have? Is this a feeling that you have, Myles? Like, I just kind of want to get a consensus, because if I'm out on an island all by myself, I'll just go sit there by myself. But if you're all with me, like, I'll fucking bring you with me.
Well, I had this feeling with Stilt when they started adding the multiplayer modes. I was like, wow, this could literally become Fall Guys in VR. Yes. And then the dev was like, yeah, we're going to just keep expanding it. And I think this is it. We all have attachment to particular games. And it kind of goes back to the point I was making earlier about the indie developers that really tap in with the community and get their feedback and find out what they want. Yeah. Just to be absolutely clear, Ancient Dungeons, I absolutely adored. The early issues I had was I wish there were a bit more variation in the boss fights. That was the only bit that I was just like, I wish there was a bit more. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed them. I was just like, that's the bit that just I feel like is a bit too repetitive for my liking. But again, I would still class it as like a 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10 game. And so to hear all this that you've been telling me, I'm super hyped. The fact that it's not like it's done. It's like, no, we can keep expanding it and diversifying it. This is super, super exciting. And to be honest, I've always been waiting for the multiplayer, because I've got a couple of friends that I know would love this game. They haven't jumped into it yet, but if we can jump in together,
play with me.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. All right, if there's a game that Brian wants to play with me, multiplayer, let's do it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Are you going to play Arizona Remake with me?
Oh, yeah. Dude, let's do that.
Okay, cool. We should do that soon.
All right.
Yeah, I'm playing Arizona Remake right now, but I'm playing it by myself. And so, like, so I really need to, like, you know, recruit somebody to play with. So we need to make that happen.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude, this is, I don't know. This just like makes me really happy. Like, it's like, you know, so somehow when I saw the tweet about the alternate floors, it just really spoke to me and made me go, like, this is such a great reason to jump back into this game. Being able to do that with 2 other people, jumping in and being able to play together. I mean, it's just this is something I'm just never going to uninstall. What makes me sad though is when I start thinking, oh, this is something that these guys are doing. Like, why isn't the Cosmo Dread guy doing this for Cosmo Dread, right? Like, maybe the sales weren't there. Who knows? But like, now I'm starting to think about all the other games out there that I really, really want, you know, to be expanded upon, and some new mechanics and new enemies and new areas, right? Especially roguelites. Do it to Synapse, right? Synapse could definitely use it. So, Right. So as excited as it makes me for Ancient Dungeon, it makes me irritated that more developers out there aren't following in these guys' footsteps. Myles, real quick. We've got Kill Artist One, the Dream Weaver Game Cat with the $5 tip says, I just saw Ancient Dungeon was on sale for $12.99, so I purchased it. I love a good dungeon crawler, and multiplayer would be awesome. All right, guys, you heard it here first. Kill Artist One says $13 on the PlayStation Store. It was a deal at $20, but for $13, like, I mean, how could you not? It's so good. Yep. Oh man. All right. You want to talk about Alien? I think we get an Alien story next.
Definitely.
All right, Myles, I feel like I've been talking nonstop and reading nonstop since this show has begun. We're going to head over to GameRant.com because they have a developer diary over there, an exclusive article with an interview with a developer over there. Would you perchance mind reading it?
Let's go through this.
Excellent.
I realise I've not got my headphones in again, and I know when I last went to this page earlier, it started blasting an advert sound. I hope it doesn't start doing it now. We don't want to give any free advertising to anyone. So yeah, this article, Alien Rogue Incursion dev reveals new details about upcoming horror game.
I love new details.
Exclusive by Dominic Bosniak, I think it is. His last name.
Sounds good.
Survios Chief Product Officer TQ Jefferson revealed new details about Alien Rogue Incursion in an exclusive interview with GameRant. Did you know, Brian, that this is exclusive?
This article?
Yeah, it is. It's exclusive.
They said it in big letters. And brackets.
And again in regular letters as well.
And regular letters. Yeah. Okay, so if there was any doubt, there's no doubt.
This is an exclusive, people.
Got it.
Cool. Among other things, other than being exclusive, Jefferson discussed the game's protagonist and setting, in addition to explaining how Rogue Incursion intends to appeal to long-time Alien fans and newcomers to the franchise alike. It then goes into Alien Rogue Incursion as a VR-only action horror game that was officially announced in April 2024. It promises to combine tense gameplay with an original narrative starring Zulu M. Hendricks, a former US colonial marine who was previously featured in over half a dozen Alien comic books and novels. Though no longer part of the military by the events of Rogue Incursion, she remains determined to fight the xenomorph threat wherever she goes. Ahead of the game's release, GameRant sat down with the Survios CPO, TQ Jefferson, to discuss how Rogue Incursion came to be, how it fits into the Alien franchise, and more in this exclusive. Survios, and then it goes, he talks, right. I love how these are formatted. Just keep repeating the same shit again and again for SEO points. We get it. We know what you're up to, article. The question first was, it looks like you've been working in the video game industry for a long time. Can you tell us about your experiences and any highlights you want to share? Am I going to go through all of this, or should I just get to the questions about Alien Rogue Incursion?
Because we can skip ahead. I didn't realize how long
I'll just mention this last bit of it. He says, during my time at 20th Century Games, there was Alien Blackout and Predator Hunting Grounds. So many great games, and I'm confident that Alien Rogue Incursion will find a place on one of my favourite works, because it already has. So he talks about being a massive fan of the Alien movies and the franchise, and then was asked, you mentioned purpose-built for VR. What does that mean, and how is VR different from PC games? He says there are several challenges that we contend with when developing for VR first versus PC console, but I'll outline three major ones. One of the most obvious is in narrative. In VR, you're the camera, which means we can't do dramatic cutaways to show you what's happening elsewhere in the world. Storytelling must be primarily first person and in real time. With the Alien franchise, the story is critical, so we needed to find creative ways to present the story to the players with this unique set of considerations in mind. And this is a good point, because, I mean, we often talk about this a lot, Brian. A lot of us don't want to be standing around waiting for the story to be spelled out. When you got a character just like speeding on this stuff, it's like, and you can't do any interactions in the meantime. Like, you just want to get on with it. And so the VR games that really nail it is where you are the story. We spoke about Madison earlier. Madison, there's no cutscenes or anything like that. It's you are literally the story. Like, that's when it's done at its best.
Also, this is also why there's so many like floating robot companions in VR, because a lot of developers are like, well, how do we like have this communication with the player? How do we have like kind of push this narrative on the player and not stop them from doing the things that they're doing? And they're like, floating robot companion, like it's always the answer. So I'm very curious to see how they handle it in Rogue Incursion without that.
Yeah, no, me too. The second is performance, running at a smooth and comfortable frame rate and visual fidelity. We decided early on to go with more realistic art style to show off the xenomorph to the best effect and create the deepest sense of immersion possible. Folks may not realise this, but for VR to function, you have to render everything twice, once for each eye.
Okay,
the level of detail.
Hold on. So I do want to stop right here for a second, okay? Because I read that and immediately I remember I kind of like backtracked to this interview I had with Alex Sin from Sin Studios. And I was like, isn't that the case? Like, isn't that why like VR games don't look as good as? That's why like when people who don't play VR, they see the Alien Rogue Incursion trailer and they go, oh, this is like a PS3 game. Right? And it's like, were you around for the PS3 era? Those games look fucking great, right? So, but it's a little bit of a misnomer, and I don't think perpetuating that is a good thing. So I reached out to a developer friend of mine, who shall not be named unless they want to call themselves out in the chat, and I said, "Is this true? Like I thought this definition of VR, this explanation of how it has to be rendered twice, one for each eye. I thought that was sort of like if you brute force it." And so his response was, if you look at it from the perspective of the GPU, then yes, you do have to render all the geometry twice, but there are a lot of accelerations in place to make that rendering a single pass. We only draw each item once, but the GPU still has to render it twice. So this is like kind of true, but I just want to make sure that people know like that it's not like, oh, the graphical power is cut in half because you have to render it twice, So anyway, moving on. I apologize for the interruption, Myles.
No, it's good. It's good to clarify that. He then says the level of detail, number of physicalized objects, number of xenomorphs, number of visual effects, lighting, and more all impact performance. Everything in the game must be designed and then tuned with performance in mind. Finally, a major difference that stands out to me, so this is the third one, is so we had narrative, we've had visual performance, and the third one, the major difference that stands out to me is how you physically use your equipment in VR. The way you reload the pulse rifle, inject yourself with health, or cut open a door with your plasma torch. In VR, the player actually performs these motions. In PC console, those are done with buttons pressed that trigger an animation to play. It's a markedly different experience. All these and more contribute to creating presence, or the sensation of literally being in the world of Alien.
Are you tired of reading? Because I will take over. I know this is longer than expected.
I can do one more section.
Right.
He's then asked, like, how did the Alien Rogue Incursion project come to be? I'm going to miss over that. You've mentioned that Survios has been working on this project for a few years. How has the development been? How did Survios decide what to base the game on? What content should be included? I'll do this one. Okay. He goes, Alien Rogue Incursion is our most ambitious game to date. We've heard this before, so I'm curious to hear what's going to follow this. It culminates 11 years of innovative VR development, complex storytelling, and a world-class franchise and story. As I said previously, I had a lot of knowledge about the Alien film franchise coming into Survios, which I am excited by. Like, it's made by someone that loves the lore. Yeah. Still, we did some independent research to better understand Alien fans, who they were, where they come from, and what they like to play. Research doesn't tell you what to make. It does tell you how strongly your idea resonates with your intended audience. I like that. That's a great line. We were encouraged to discover that many of our assumptions were true. The path to developing Alien Rogue Incursion was challenging, with some starts and stops and one outright reboot of the game's development. Early on, we made to what we called a first playable, a slice of the game that is developed to a high level of completion that serves as an example of what the final product could be. The game looked like Alien, but didn't play or feel like Alien.
Interesting.
We realised we weren't making what we had envisaged. We were trying to do too much, which distracted us from creating a great core gameplay loop. We decided to lean hard into our strengths and build a bespoke experience for VR first and adapt that for PC console second. Before I get to the final paragraphs of this, I want to say that that's really good to hear, because a concern I had, and I think you did and many others did, was there was this real feeling of like, is it going to be a good Alien game? Is it just going to be like a game in the in the Alien world? It's easy to take an IP and then have just a game that exists within it. But the fact that they said they did it and they were like, it doesn't feel like an Alien game. It just looks like one. I think that's a really good fact that they said, right, we've got to reboot it to get that right. We realigned the games ourselves a few months to deliver something compelling. The pressure was undeniable, but the focus was there. And by the end of that window, the studio developed what we called our partner playable demo. We then showed it to Disney, Sony, and Meta. And each time we got an amazing reaction, validation that we had delivered on the promise of our vision. That's really, really good.
So there were two things. And I should have jumped in and said before you went to this paragraph, but one of the things was we all had a strong feeling that at some point they had maybe scrapped everything and started over, or they went back to the drawing board, and the strong feeling was because that they announced this game, and then everybody said, we want Alien Isolation in VR. It was nonstop, dude. It was nonstop. Yeah. There was no way they didn't hear that. Yeah. They're like, we don't even want this game that you're working on. We just want Alien Isolation in VR, right? And so then, like, it was a little while later they started calling it like a horror / action game, right? And so I feel like at some point, like during this sort of reconstruction of the game, they were like, we need to lean further into the horror side of Aliens. We don't know if that's true or not, but why, if you were going to kind of scrap a lot of what you had done and sort of start again, why wouldn't you be like, okay, well, if this is what everybody wants, then maybe we should lean into this. And the second part of this is when it was first announced, and please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I fucking remember this. They announced it as a flat screen and VR game. And it sounds like this is what they're talking about. It sounds like they were trying to do something when we walked up and you push a button to do something, you walked up and you firewall ultra the crap out of these doors, right? But now it seems like they're trying to make it VR AF. And then say, you know what? Yeah. We will make it work on flat screen later. And so now it's no longer this hybrid game. Now it's a VR game that they will make work on the flat screen later on, which is exactly what you want to hear.
Yeah.
So thumbs up on that.
Yeah, I mean, they've been very cards close to their chest when covering this game, and that's just because it's a very beloved franchise and a protected franchise by. It's amazing it's a part of Disney now. But when I've heard these interviews and the philosophy behind it, look, it doesn't guarantee it's going to be a great game. But what it does say is they're approaching it with the right attitude and due diligence. So I'm super excited. I'll just read the last paragraph of this question and I can let you take over. He goes, this demo proved out the vision. In it, you were moving through a facility, steam blasting and lights flickering, armed with just your pulse rifle and motion tracker, trying to get to the med bay and fighting xenomorphs along the way. They emerged from the ceiling, crawled across walls, shrieked and leaped, and tried like hell to kill you. It looked like Alien, sounded like Alien, and played how we originally envisaged the game. Intense, frightening, and fun. This demo transported you directly into the world of Alien. We had found our core gameplay loop, and we never looked back.
I just scanned through the rest, and I feel like we covered the important stuff. For anyone curious, go check out gamerant.com, and you can finish up the article over there. Listen, they're saying all the right things, Myles. I have faith in this game in a strange way. Same. I don't know if I should or not, but what I do know is that when I started becoming disappointed in Survios, it was when they were pushing out a game every 6 or 8 months. There seemed to be a desire to get the game like a fun concept out there, but not go crazy with the depth. We want to create VR arcade games that people love for a few days and then maybe never play again, which is very different than how I felt about their first game on PlayStation VR, which was Raw Data. Raw Data felt like this full-fledged, like well thought out game that got deep, and like you unlocked more story and more items and everything as you went on, and you unlocked 4 different characters to play as. It felt very rich for an early VR game, and they sort of backed off from that very quickly. And so because they haven't put out a new game in quite a while, this sort of restores my faith that like, hey, this could be their next Raw Data. I feel like they haven't put out a game as good as Raw Data since Raw Data. And so I'm hoping that this kind of gets them back to their roots and gets them back on track, because it does look pretty good.
It'd be amazing if they knock this out of the park. I mean, it's just going to be amazing because like I've always held Survios in high regard, even if I haven't liked all their games, but most of them I have. And like Creed is a game that I will always hold in high regard. I think Creed, and I'm not really into boxing. I don't follow the Creed franchise, but as a game, it's really good fun, and the multiplayer is some of the most hilarious gameplay I've ever experienced in VR.
Myles, I want to be absolutely clear here. Like, I don't think there's a Survios game that I didn't love. I guess The Walking Dead Onslaught was really rough. But there were even things about that I enjoyed. I could kind of see the roots of it. How you know the scavenging missions with like the horde of zombies, even though it's kind of like just a big red line. I could see how that would have been fun in multiplayer, the way the game was originally planned. Like I saw the positives in that game, even though it wasn't something I really enjoyed. But like Sprint Vector and Battle Wake, and Electronauts, was it Electronauts? That's what it's called.
Yeah,
they
did Electronauts.
All of these games were great. Survios knows how to make good, fun games. But like I said, they were slipping in the depth department, and it kind of got infuriating. I started feeling bad for people who bought Battle Wake. And then 2 days after it came out, said, "Oh, does anybody want to play Battle Wake?" And we're all like, "No, we did that shit 2 days ago." Like that's all we needed. We just needed launch day multiplayer, and it was like, all right, we're over that, right? So I'm really hoping that this has the depth we're looking for. So anyway, yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to think that I like actively dislike Survios, because I think they make really fun games. All right, Myles, real quick, we'll check in on the chat. And then we're going to talk about this Walkabout tease. If you haven't seen it, please check it out over on Twitter. I'm going to read these tips, though, in the meantime. Snafu with the $2 tip says, first game, remember, he just got his PS5 today. First game will be Red Matter, then the Resident Evil 8 demo. What's the Resident Evil 8 demo? I wonder, what does that consist of? Somebody in the chat tell me. Because I remember the Maiden demo coming out before Village came out, and so it never got VR support. But I don't remember what the actual Village demo does. Maybe it's just the first, maybe you get to play for an hour or something like that. Is it just like a limited time thing? I don't remember. Listen, either way, awesome games to start off with, Snafu. You're going to love Red Matter if you didn't play it on PSVR 1, and if you did play it on PSVR 1, prepare.
Yes.
Holy crap, when you see that thing running like at super sampled resolutions and like just it's just super freaking clear. That game looks great. And then RE8
wasn't RE8 demo the Maiden? Wasn't it called the Maiden?
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. But that was before.
Yeah. I was just trying to remember what VR came out. Called. Yeah.
Right, and so I don't think that ever got VR support. So I don't think that's the one he's talking about. It just must be a gameplay demo. Okay, Corey Review says it's just the beginning of RE8. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Horrific.
Yeah, and it also ruined all other VR games for you, because very few things live up to Village. I think Village is, again, it's got the depth, it's got the progression system, it's got the storytelling, it's got variety of environments, it's got the AAA production values. It's really, really difficult to kind of come back from that. But you gotta. But oh, there we go. Throw a nice Oculus logo up. That's what I was trying to do, Brian. Well done. And then Alien Shade, welcome to level 3 membership.
You know what you call an alien with no eye, Brian?
Alan?
Ellen. Alan. Yeah, it was Alan, not Ellen. Alan.
Okay.
And do you know what you call an alien with 3 balls? E.T. E.T. Extra testicle. Extra testicle. Yeah.
Let's check out this Walkabout mini golf teaser.
Oh, talking to balls, yeah.
And then we'll never talk again. So this teaser actually just went up on Twitter earlier today. This old, here, let's go full screen on this. This old kind of like computer setup, and then typing kind of like these C64 basic lines. You have to type a number for each line in basic. Do this first and do this. So you number them 10, 20, 30, whatever. And so, oh, it's great. They even put load virtual reality, (8,1), which is how you actually had to type in like how you want to load games on the C64. So these guys have a little C64 knowledge in them. But the question is what is this teasing, Myles? Because at some point they do mention 8-bit Lair releasing on October 24th. What the fuck does that mean? 8-bit Lair. Is this going to be a new course? It's going to be a new course, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spoil one of the other courses we've played, so I'm going to talk about this very carefully. But there was basically, I don't think this is going to spoil it because I'm not going to mention like what level or anything. But there was a hole you play on a course where it was 2-dimensional. You were playing on a 2-dimensional space.
Okay.
So it was like, it felt like a retro game, like you were playing.
I now remember what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if it could be going into that kind of thing, like those kind of environments. I don't know. That's just pure speculation.
Interesting.
But it would be cool if they did bring you into like all these, like every hole is like a tribute to a different classic game. That would be mind blowing.
Yeah. I am. Cerebral Frost says 8-bit is a publisher, aren't they? I know 17-bit and is it 7? Wait, hold on. 17-bit. Hold on. What? I'm confused. Oh man, Dan threw me off. Grandpa's Barbecuer with the Australian $2 tip says super chat for Myles' ET joke. I'm glad somebody liked it.
I'm glad someone did.
Yep.
I don't think Brian liked it.
It was all right.
It was all right. It was fine.
So here's what I'm hoping, Myles. I'm really hoping like what you can do with voxel art, with the voxel art style, right? I feel like sort of kind of fits in with the kind of low poly Walkabout courses. And so, you know, and there's been all sorts of great stuff that uses like that uses the voxel art style. I mean, you know, we just talked about Ancient Dungeon. It's beautiful in VR. We just you know, Resogun, Minecraft. I mean, like there's a million different things that sort of support that. And I would absolutely love if they make us feel like we're inside like an old 8-bit game. So I'd be very Team 17 Looper. That was the other one I was trying to think of.
Team 17.
Yep. So thank you. That would have been stuck in my head until we figured it out. Anyway, we don't have much longer to wait. This apparently comes out October 24th, and I'm sure they'll reveal what this actually is before that. But man, this seems like it wasn't very much time between this course and the last course. What was
about to say, I haven't even played the last course. The last course was up there, wasn't it?
There?
Like, yeah. What was the last course? It was up there, wasn't it?
What?
Yeah. I thought it was up there. The last course.
So anyway,
what was the last course,
dude,
Brian?
Awesome Tatum in the chat says 3D Heroes or 3D Game Heroes. That is a great example of how cool voxel art can be.
It was the Mars course, right?
Dude, did a Mars course come out? Oh my
God. That's what I mean. That was the last one. It was Mars Gardens.
Yeah,
Mars Gardens.
I completely blanked on that one. Dude, I have not played Walkabout in months, which means I haven't played Wallace and Gromit.
You played the Wallace and Gromit one.
I have not played the Wallace and Gromit one.
Oh my God, we need to do that. That has the most amazing ending. Like, you know, I'm always about, like, it's always about Hole 18. That's how I judge whether a course is good. Does it have an amazing finale?
All right. If anybody from Mighty Coconut is watching, now you know how Myles rates your courses. So fuck off on 1 through 17, right? Don't worry about those. Just make the last
Widow's Mansion, or whatever it was called. Widow's Mansion, or whatever it was, the would have been one of my favorites, and then Hole 18 just completely.
Okay.
What's the polite way of saying it? Shit the bed. Yeah,
it was just great. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, listen, we're going to have to get into play some Walkabout because there's a bunch of stuff that I need to play. I need to get caught up. And if we don't do it before October 24th, let's make sure we do it on October 24th so we can check this out too, because I'm looking forward to it. Man, there's so much stuff I need to get caught up on. I kind of promised myself. So some of you guys know that I'm trying to lose some weight, right? So I've changed my diet, but like I still don't get enough physical activity in. I want to start playing Beat Saber every day again, like I used to. Like I really, really, really got into Beat Saber, and just a little bit of physical activity, nothing crazy, just get my heart rate up just a little bit.
I need to do the same.
I'm not thinking it's gonna like be a drastic change for me or anything like that. I'm not thinking I'm gonna like the pounds are just gonna start falling off, right? But it's something, and get better than not doing it. I'll say that. And there's so many packs. Like I didn't even know there was a hip hop music pack out there or mixtape. I mean, I think I did, but like I just kind of came in mind. I didn't really think about it. And I'm actually even kind of excited to play the new Britney songs because those, like Lady Gaga, it was just like it not stuff I would listen to outside of Beat Saber, but like really good for Beat Saber. You know what I mean? So I haven't played any of this stuff, and I am, and I'm gonna start playing it all soon. Yeah.
I might join you on that, dude. I need to make it a part of my daily routine. Just jump on for a little bit. That'd be amazing. Did you used to do it while having weights on your arms?
I think I did that for a very short amount of time. That was a horrible idea.
I was gonna say that was impressive.
Well, I mean, so you do it for like a couple songs, and then you take the weights off, and you're like, oh my god, this is so easy. How could I miss any of them? Right, you're all over the place. It's like your arms become rubber. It's like it goes around your head, and you're hitting them like this. I don't know, doing trick shots. All right, Myles. It is time. It is time. And I got to tell you guys, not only is it time for the 5-minute challenge, it is time for the 4-minute challenge. Sort of been floating this a little bit over the last couple months, ever since we changed it to not 20 questions. We changed it to the 5-minute challenge. I've been floating this the whole time going, I feel like 5 minutes is too much time when you have infinite number of questions. So I almost went to 3 minutes today. But I want to take this gradual. I want to do like a week or so of 4-minute challenge. Which, by the way, Myles, if you haven't picked out a game, you better be picking one right now.
Yeah, I'm literally looking at all the games there are. There's quite a lot of games on PSVR2.
We're going to see how this goes for the next week with the 4-minute challenge, and if it's still kind of too easy, then we're gonna make it the 3-minute challenge, and because I mean then it's all about just like rapid fire back and forth questions and answers, which it's the answers that slow us down sometimes. Not calling anyone out while they're not here, AJ, but some of you are better at answering questions than others. Sirens on my end. All right, you got one. Let's do this, guys. I'm going to need all the help I can. I only got 4 minutes to get this right. So if you got any,
that's the starting siren.
That's right. If you got any questions, I feel like my walls are going to turn into like chain link fences, and the floors are going to turn into blood-soaked metal coverings. It's Silent Hill, sirens. Anyway, yeah. Help me out in the chat. I'm going to really, really need this. I am the guinea pig for the 4-minute challenge. On your mark, get Des, who, by the way, is in Florida, and I checked in on him, and he's fine. Everything's great.
Oh, good.
Go. Is it on PSVR 2?
Yeah.
Is it on PSVR 1?
No.
Is it only on PSVR 2? Meaning, is it on?
Oh, that's a really good question. That really good question.
All right. Well, while you're trying to figure that out, does it have any sequels?
No, it's not. What was the question? I'll answer it.
Is it on other headsets?
Yes.
Okay. Wait, and what did we figure out? It's on PSVR 2? No, PSVR 1 only. PSVR 2 only.
No, PSVR 2 only.
And other headsets. Okay. I'm all caught up. Is it horror themed?
No.
Okay, well that means I have no idea. Are you in a vehicle?
No.
Do you do a lot of shooting? Like shooting with guns, I should say.
No, not a lot. Not a lot.
Not a lot. Do you fight with other weapons?
No. Just there are moments in the game where you are shooting, but it's a very small, it's like a once in a blue moon mechanic.
Markio's wondering. Got it. Markio's wondering if it's first person.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you work in a warehouse?
No.
Okay. Is it a puzzle game?
No.
Are there puzzles in it?
No.
You said this game doesn't have a sequel, right?
I haven't said that, but
does it have a sequel?
No, it doesn't have a sequel. No.
Is it a sequel?
No.
Is it based on an existing IP?
No.
Is it a walking sim?
No.
Sorry, Galaxy Godstar. Is it first person?
Yes. Again, it is.
It doesn't matter. Is it
It's
also
as much first person as it was the first time.
is it also third person? Is there any third person stuff in it?
No.
Okay, are you on a train? What game is that?
No. Not on a train.
Are you on a game show?
No.
Do you have full locomotion?
There's full there's full locomotion.
All right, Your Long Shadow is asking, does it have multiplayer?
Yes.
Is it a good game?
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay. Have you and I played it together?
No.
Is there platforming?
Yeah.
Is it a sport?
No.
Are you in the air a lot?
Yeah.
Are there zombies in it? I don't know.
No.
All right. I've asked so many questions. I don't remember the answer to any of them. Okay. These guys are thinking Stilt. Is it this Sunday's multiplayer game? By the way, this Sunday's multiplayer game is Stilt.
Oh, no.
It's not Stilt, guys. Okay.
That's a very good way of asking the question.
Is it cartoony?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's some platforming. It's cartoony. It's on PSVR2. It's not Max Mustard, you guys. There's platforming. So what other platformers do we have? Oh, and there is multiplayer. Oh, but we played Windlands 2 together, so it's not that. Guys, we are running out of time. We have 19 seconds. Crap. Oh my God, there's multiplayer. Oh my God, 7 seconds left. I just got to guess. Is it Sugar Mess?
No.
Okay, what is it, Myles?
It's Sky Climb, Brian.
Oh,
Sky Climb.
My.
You were getting close. You were very close to it. If you had a fifth minute, you had got it.
Yeah, I feel like that I should have had it by then. And so I feel like 4 minutes is way better than 5 minutes. Crap.
Unlucky, man. Unlucky.
Yeah.
Sky Climb I had a really good time with, actually. And the multiplayer, I only played with one other person, but I can imagine with a big group of people, it'd be a lot of fun. Once you get the hang of it, it's good.
I saw some people in the chat say Toss. Toss is a good shout. I think Toss is a lot of fun, but it really sucks that we're never getting the multiplayer for Toss. So I feel like anytime someone brings it up, like there's this air of like this dark cloud hanging over it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's always going to be the worst way to play that game, which sucks. I hate that. So, Grandpa's Barbecue or Game Cat with the Australian $5 tip says, I think you should have a special rule for AJ. Guess the game. That is, if he AJ's it, an extra minute gets added to the tower. I bet he means timer. That's a good one. I like that. We do need some special rules for AJ because I don't think he's able to rapid fire answers like that. All right, that was a lot of fun. I like that. 4 minutes is better than 5 minutes. All right, guys, it is time for us to get out of here. Hopefully everyone's got a great weekend planned. I got to finish up PSVR this week. Myles,
this week,
I can only imagine, desperately needs sleep. So I hope you get caught up.
Sleep would be nice.
Yeah, sleep would be nice. But guys, lots of great stuff coming up for the rest of the month. and we just want to say thank you all for being here. You guys mean the world to me, to us. Make sure you go subscribe to Myles' channel and go join our Discord. I've been hanging out in the Discord constantly, and you guys have been really, really sweet to me. Have had some really nice conversations in there recently. A lot of great messages, a lot of encouragement, a lot of thank yous for the work I've been putting in this month. It means a lot. It really does. So thank you very much for all of that. I appreciate the support. But guys, quick shout out to everybody who, everyone who supports us on patreon.com/withoutparolegames, everyone who's a member over here, everyone who hangs out during the chat, keeps us entertained while we try to keep you entertained, everyone who tips during the show, and everybody who sits back and watches the show and doesn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there. I used to be one of you. I used to not talk. We love you just as much. Happy Friday, Myles.
Happy Friday, Brian. Happy Friday, Game Cats. Be good to yourselves, and we'll see you next time.
Here it is, you guys, from Chase64 Cubed, your clip of the week. That's not it. What happened?
So tell us about this kid, Gabriel. You had a run-in with him?
Mechanic, a presumptuous young man who did not know his place. He presumed to ask me questions.
We do a lot of presuming here in the United States, Consul General. It comes with the turf.
You fuck young boys, Valdez.
Hey, Myles, I think we should tell everyone that they should follow us on Letterboxd.
Oh yeah, we talked about this on last week's show about whether you were going to get it, and you got it, and then a few days went, and your profile was vacant. I thought, oh, maybe Brian's not going to give it a go, and then out of nowhere, over the horizon came some like watch list ads. I think some movies you'd seen, ratings, but not just that. Movie reviews. Brian, you wrote a couple of movie reviews, and I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Listen, the first one I did was for It's What's Inside, which I really enjoyed on Netflix, and I think everybody should watch that. Don't watch the trailer, just watch it, and try. Good luck. It's a ride. And I wrote like this, not in depth, but like 2-paragraph review. And I was like, I don't need to do that. Like I saw that most people were just leaving like 2-sentence reviews, and so I think that's going to be more what I do. But what it is like, I feel like it gives agency to the act of watching movies, which is exactly what I needed from watching movies, because I'm so easily distracted, Myles. And so if I actually watch these movies with the sense that like, oh, I'm gonna give this a rating, from 1 to 5 stars or 0 to 5 stars, and I'm gonna like type up a little review and recommending it to my friends or people who follow me or you. Right now, Myles, it's you follow me and I follow you. I'm assuming you have other people who follow you, but no one else follows me other than you. So if you go on Letterboxd and you're interested in the movies that we've been watching, you should follow me at That Would Be Dark. That's like kind of my username everywhere. And Myles, are you just Myles Dyer like you are everywhere?
I'm just boring Myles Dyer. Yeah. Have you got a profile picture on there yet?
I don't. I'll make sure I add one. Yeah. I wasn't really sure if I was going to be using the app or not. And now that I'm using the app and I really like it, I want to make sure it's worthwhile. So
the agency point you make is a really good one, man. Because as I mentioned last week, I've watched more movies in the last couple of months than I have in the last few years, and that has done it. Because it's like I literally listed all these like all-time greatest movies I've never watched, and I was it back to back? I watched American Psycho, American Beauty, and The Silence of the Lambs, like 3 absolute bangers, and I'd never seen any of them, and I was just like compelled, and it was that whole thing, as you say, because you're going to rate it afterwards, and so you take it seriously, and I do a little review, and it's satisfying to sort of do that.
Myles, I just watched Subservience with Megan Fox. It's sort of like the whole Child's Play, sort of the whole Megan. Sort of like it's the same old story that we've seen 1,000 times of like the helpful AI that turns rogue and turns bad, right, for whatever reason. And I really liked it, and I'm glad we're doing this at the end of the show because fewer people are watching. But like there was a significant amount of sex in that movie. And like, I mean, I enjoy sex, right? Like I like movies that have sex in it. But it made me wonder, Myles, do movies have less sex? Fewer sex scenes than they used to? Because I watched it and I was like, oh, it's very expected that this is happening. But I was like trying to remember. I was like, I just don't remember like many movies recently that have had sex scenes. And it just kind of threw me. I was like, oh, this feels like very like 15 years ago, because like most movies had a sex scene 15 years ago. And it's like, well, what happened? So I don't know. So I don't know. Subservience was good. And I'm wondering how much of it was because I was like, oh, I really want to see these people fuck. Just saying.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, guys, have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see you on Letterboxd. We love you all.